we'll go ahead and bring this meeting to order. And first thing would be, Amanda, have you confirmed that we do have a quorum?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And you, please mark the attendance on who's been here, and we'll go ahead with the meeting. First thing on the agenda item would be the approval of the November.
We've got to confirm the required open meetings act. No, you didn't. You asked.
Oh, I didn't
You
say
asked
that.
for a
Oh,
quorum.
I thought I did. Sorry.
Yep.
Oh, to confirm that required Kansas Open Meetings Act notifications were met. I have to
Yes.
actually say those words. I
Yes.
didn't realize that versus that we have met it. Okay. Apologize. Then we'll go ahead and go to approval of the November minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at that and have any corrections? Hearing no corrections, somebody would like to make a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
And everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimous.
That was Pat and Tanner.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Pat and Tanner, yep.
Yes. Okay, next in the new business, we'll go into staff reports, which everybody had those sent to them and to review. And I guess first of all, with staff, do you have any comments to make on any of the staff reports? And then we'll go ahead and go into the board if there's any questions thereafter that.
I do. We have Kansas Days coming up next week. We still have some volunteer slots available if anyone wants to help out with that. Just see me after the meeting.
For our newer commissioners, do you want to explain a little bit of what Kansas Day is and what that commitment is?
Entails.
And state again when it's going to be. You know.
It's all next week. Kansas Days is when we bring third graders from the area, from Salina and the surrounding area, here to learn about some pioneer activities. They learn butter churning, corn shelling, how to pack their wagon to head west, and pioneer games. We have volunteers that teach all of those sessions for them. The time slots are 9 to about 10:30, 10:30 to noon, and either 12:30 to 2 or 1 to 2:30. If that's right, yeah.
And in the course of the week, you'll have about how many?
About 900 third graders come through. Unfortunately, we had one school drop out that was about 60 students. But other than that, we'll have around 1,000 people total. We also have a public Kansas Day that we need help with, and that is on January 31st from 1 to 3.
And they notify you or Rosa or
They
museum?
can talk to me, they can notify Rosa, she can get them the sign up link if you're interested, to show which slots are still available.
Okay, good.
Okay. We have a brief interruption.
All right.
Yes.
We have a special day coming up in our family,
Yes.
and I need to get a witness, so I haven't forgotten.
Well, you've got a few.
What's that? We're on camera. Yeah, well, I cleared this with Brad in advance, so it's a few days off yet, but I brought red, white, and brown, just to show that we are still interested in diversity here.
Okay, very good.
I hope that's okay to say that.
Fits our agenda.
All right, then. We were wishing Pat a special birthday coming up in about
Next week.
next week.
Next week.
So I may be in trouble when I get home, but right now I'm not. Thank you all for helping me recognize.
Yeah, well, happy birthday
Pat,
next
happy
week,
birthday.
Pat.
Yeah. Do you want to identify this young gentleman here?
This is Tim, my husband.
For now.
We'll see how this day finishes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so enjoy.
All right.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank
Tim.
you.
All right.
Dean, you
I'll
want to
pass
start
those
some
around.
down and
Yeah.
we'll get everybody carved up.
Former husband in next month's minutes.
Congratulations.
This doesn't go in the minutes, right?
All right, we'll go ahead and continue with the staff reports. Is there any other Anybody else on staff that would like to make a comment on any of the information that was sent out?
Probably send that out.
Hearing none, any of the board members have questions or comments on any of the staff report items? Yes. Just waiting. Hearing none on that, we do have one other item, and Doug's going to talk about that. And with the
I seen fingers in my mouth.
Yeah, with his fingers.
Take a bite first.
Perfect timing.
On the cat.
So yesterday was the monthly CAD meeting, and we had the honor of having a presentation from Mike Hopcock and from Sculpture Tour Salina and several of his colleagues from downtown Salina. And they were visiting us to make the announcement of the winners of the Sculpture Tour from 2025. It was very cool. And he also mentioned that in the last 15 years, 40 different pieces from the Sculpture Tour have been purchased by the city, as well as the 15 that the People's Choice Awards. It's been going on for 15 years now. So it's quite an amazing program. There's 2 other awards that are given each year in addition to the People's Choice Award. One of them, they are voting for the Kids' Choice, and they also award the first runner-up, which is called the Merit Award. Both of those this year went to the piece called The Wanderer by Sunday Mahaja. The Wanderer was the beautiful giraffe that was sitting down there. My personal choice. So that won the Merit and the Kids' Choice Award. But the first place winner, the one that the city will be acquiring, and I asked to have this printed out because there is no way in the world you're going to remember the title of this piece for a little while. Mr. Hatter's Pursuits in Becoming Human, 006, The Fisherman at Fall River. It was a welded steel wasp on top of a column, and he's got a big fishing pole. If you see the picture, you would definitely recognize you saw it on the street. So Brady Hatter is from Kansas. He is from Udall. And I believe that he said also that he's entered pieces a few times into the sculpture tour, and this is the first time he's won. So it's a beautiful piece. It's very fitting for us. I think everybody's going to be really happy to see it wherever it ends up being placed.
It's on the corner of Santa Fe and Ash in front of Sunflower Bank.
Currently.
Currently.
Yeah.
Currently, yeah.
Till April, and then we have to find a place for it, so.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Can I have my
No.
cake now?
Yes, yes.
Go ahead. All right. Introduction of new staff.
We were not given notice to have new staff up here, so
This
that
is
will
my
have
bad.
to wait till next time.
That's what I was wondering. All right.
You want to announce the
Who?
positions?
Yeah.
We actually have 2 positions that we filled. One is the Curator of Education, that is John Clintworth. He comes to us from Nebraska. And then we have another museum assistant, Simeon Rawls is filling that spot.
Good. Next, we go to cultural planning update. Brad.
Yeah, and want to thank your chairperson for representing this group. We did a national search for firms that do strategic and cultural planning, assessment of communities and their cultural assets in hopes of finding the best qualified candidate. We had 5 submissions that were in by the deadline, and they came from one from Kansas and others from across the United States, one from Canada, I believe. Or let's see, they weren't, no, the Canadian group I think withdrew. But we did a couple of Zoom, or we did a Zoom Q&A for anyone who was interested for more information about our community as they prepared their proposals. And then we got a stack of proposals from the 5 groups. We had 7 people from, including Bob as the chair of the Arts Commission. We had Susan Hawksworth on the committee, and then we also had 2 other cultural directors. We had an educator from the Salina Public Schools, and we had a Chamber of Commerce, the director who's familiar with economic development and strategic planning in a variety of settings. So there were 7 altogether who weighted and scored the 5 applications. We met in person. 1 had to be absent but did her work in advance. The other 6 met here. Oh, and Anna was also a voting member. I did not vote on this or the selection. Rarely this happens, but the top rated firm was unanimous by all 7 selectors.
And this was before we even met.
Yes.
Because we filled everything out ahead of time. You know, so that's, yeah, that's definitely very unusual.
And so before I ramble too much, I'll give you a little bit more context and then explain the document that you've got before you. But Bob, do you want to give any perspective on sitting in on the panel and kind of what you've discovered along the way or anything?
Well, when Brad had to educate all the panel first, or myself for sure, and he did a very good job of doing that and trying to explain basically what the goals are, why the goals are for making this long-term plan, trying to get this company started with it, explain it more than what we already read and prepared before we came to the meeting. And done very well. And then we did address every firm as you look through that, but we did address every single firm, and we all talked about it as a group. And we had our ratings done because he had asked for us to do ratings before we had came, and then we continued with those ratings, you know, every time we talked to a specific firm and brought up any questions that we had. And the meeting was very well, addressed, and we had a good representation of people. Everyone in the committee talked through the whole thing, brought up questions, concerns, why they felt one way or another way, until we did get to the last candidate, to where we saw where it was going about next to the last candidate, that we know where our numbers are, we know where the direction is, and we were all greatly surprised that we did feel very strongly on the candidate that we had all picked in reality before we had a discussion, but we obviously wanted to make our final decision at that meeting, in which we did, and then we addressed it for Brad to take it from there at that point to where that he could decide if he had more questions before the decision was made, whatever, that we respected his professionalism and turned it over to him. So now he could explain.
So what I did was followed up by calling some of the cities that this company has worked for in the past, talked to their directors or program managers or economic development folks, whoever commissioned the research and reporting, asked whether it met their needs, that they felt it was unique to their community, that they were on time and on budget. And the most important question for each of them was, if you could go back in time, would you hire them again? And they were all very complimentary, very positive. And they supplied us with a fairly large list of previous communities they've worked. And I chose 2 that were similar in size or artistic diversity of their community that we have. So I was pleased with those responses. In the big document that you have, this is their proposal, and each one of the organizations, while Keene Independent Research ended up at the top, the second place numerically was really close. I mean, the committee felt like they could work with either one, and they were only about $700 more than what Keene was. However, some of the things that the committee liked the very best about the second place group all cost extra. And so it would have added another $5,000 to $8,000 to the contract to have them engage with community the way that they promoted in their plan. And with those cost differences and with Keene scoring as high as they did, we didn't feel that it was worth those extra dollars. So to be responsible, we not only picked the one that we liked the best, but also have the low bid of the 5 proposals. The next steps, with your support of the recommendation and approval of this moving forward, it goes to the City Commission on Monday. The total contract, proposed contract, is an amount not to exceed $59,000 and some change. I think it's $59,100. $49,100 is the base bid. Then we added a second in-person visit at the conclusion of this for presentation to the City Commission, and so we've budgeted for up to $5,000 for those days to report back to the cultural directors, maybe to this group or to a group of community members or stakeholders who've participated, and then it goes to the City Commission as a final acceptance and adoption into our strategic plan for the future. In addition to that, that estimate was about $5,000, but there's also, to the base bid of $49,100, we added a 10% contingency, or $4,910 to the bid, to just have, in case there's an extra expense, an additional day or two of the team being in Salina, or unanticipated expenses, things for community gatherings or other things. We needed to show as close as possible the total impact and budgetary cost, whether the city pays for it, whether our department pays for it, whoever is budgeting for that. So we'll have a presentation Monday which is the first item on the agenda shortly after 4 o'clock. And any of the commissioners that could attend to help support that or to advocate for that, you'd be welcome to join us, and we get you introduced. As you can see from the plan, and I'm a cultural plan geek. I inherited the Big Ideas cultural plan, which was done in 2007 in Salina, and then adopted in late 2008 and 2009. It had 2 iterations, but it was officially adopted in 2009. That 4-goal, 58 strategy, or 58 objectives, and I don't know how many strategies under those objectives. There was a lot of components of that that became our roadmap as I took over here. The previous 2 directors had started to get it implemented, but we really used that to help guide us in how our visual arts coordinator worked with public art, how we work as a team in getting information out to others, how we work collectively across the community with the other cultural directors and with the community, how we improve our reputation and the public's access to the arts. Goal number 1 is make sure that the arts are affordable, accessible, and available to all citizens. Well, some of the work you do every time you meet to talk about reaching everyone is from those Big Ideas goals. So we're going to provide some examples to the city commissioners about how the previous plan helped shape the results that they get to live with now, and then know that with a new downtown, new housing, growing population, a river that's around the corner, 3 new cultural organizations since the last plan. A lot has changed, and so it's time to both do an assessment of what we have, but also to look for the gaps of where we can improve in the future. So, I'll stop for a minute and see if any of you have questions about the cultural planning process, or you know, but I am asking for your support in the committee's recommendation and the staff recommendation for offering a contract to Keene through our city commission. So,
Assuming this is approved, what would be kind of the timeline you would anticipate? When would they start? When would be?
Yeah, there's an updated timeline in here, or there's a proposed timeline that we're about a month behind. But basically, they would do. They would begin in background research and the reports that we would send them from the city and from our department and other cultural organizations over the first 6 weeks or so. We'd have weekly, probably, conversations for the first 6 weeks. And then they'll do a discovery visit with a team of 3 and come and spend 72 hours or more in the community from morning to night, doing small group meetings, tours, meeting with staff, meeting with city leadership and others to kind of get a pulse on the community. Then after that initial discovery, they're going to go back and build some survey documents. And those will include, and also some other virtual group gatherings. They'll manage a Zoom interactive for small groups or different groups across the community, and then at the same time do other digital surveying to get an assessment. They'll be reviewing some of everything from the mailing list to the budgets of the other culturals in town to do an assessment of all those different organizations, and kind of determine what our capacity is and what the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, to do a SWOT analysis. And then they'll spend a bulk of the summer drafting components of a plan. And then they'll be back with us in the fall, and they'll have monthly or quarterly check-ins with the Cultural Directors Roundtable, and then they'll meet with me virtually once a month to go over their progress, and then that's how we pay them. They give us a progress report and an invoice, and we pay them as they go. And then this group, at about what we tentatively have planned, is in lieu of a State of the Arts report in October. We're going to have them give a progress report on what they've discovered, a preliminary view to our city commission about 8 months of research and discovery, and some draft ideas of where that plan might be heading. Hear back from the commissioners and hear from the community at the same time, and then they'll go back and refine the final plan. We'll go through the fine-tuning and the implementation strategies and so on, and then it will be presented to the City Commission in either December of this year or January of '27, with the idea that we're going to launch 2027 with with a new roadmap for the future.
Sounds good.
So,
Is the plan is this will look another 15-ish years into the future? We're only doing this every 10, 15 years, or?
that's a good question. Most of this, there's two components of this, well, 3 really, with what I'm going to throw at you. The title, Community Cultural Assessment and Strategic Plan. The assessment portion is to give us a report on, it's called a cultural asset map. But they'll be going through all of the different components of the community and maybe identifying groups or practices or something that is strong and others that are missing. You know, hey, you got a great symphony, but you don't have enough teachers, you know, or you've got all these great organizations that do things, but your community of artists is disjointed and not together. Excuse me. So that's the assessment portion. Then the strategic plan is more of a 5-year plan or so, but some of those to be fully implemented could take longer. We're not going to do a new strategic plan for the community every 5 years, hopefully. There's enough. This last one, by keeping it alive and looking at those goals and assessing them regularly, this body went through those every year, my first 10 years or so. We'd go through and say, hey, here's some that we think are still relevant that ought to be your goals for the year. And so the Arts Commission identified 3 to 5 goals each year that were on the, or the CAD committee did also, that were on the big ideas, and it kind of adopted those. So that helped get those implemented. Others we implemented solely through our office, and still others went through the roundtable or other cultural partners. So anyway, the strategic plan is probably 5 years, Tanner. And then the other thing that they offered that I am kind of excited about is forecast mapping for the next 10 to 15 years. You know, you may not need another community art center now, but if your community continues its south and eastward expansion, you may want to look at something, you know, 10 years from now. You may want another community center for arts, for accessibility, for art making or performance, or you know, outdoor venues, or you really need to have something set up that's more organized for music education for children because it's lacking. You know, whatever that might be. So it'll have, it's going to be a cool report if everything goes, and then it'll be our job and yours once it's adopted to make sure it doesn't get dusty on a shelf and that we are attacking things in a reasonable way. So they not only set a goal, but they set an implementation strategy, and that includes who's involved, what's the timeline, are there budgetary things that might need to be considered as those are adopted, and we'll go from there.
So who edits the changes for the request forms? Like after they come back with a proposal, and then again, the edits that may be needed for that proposal? Who does that?
That's a good question. The last time we did this, there was a 70-member steering committee.
Oh, wow.
And so when they met, it was always like in a high school or a grade school gymnasium, you know, or something. I mean, there were large gathering spaces that these 70 people met. And if I remember correctly, the last time from that, there were groups who specifically looked through line by line on the editing and cleaning up of the report. We haven't gotten that far yet because we haven't seen what their quality control is and what form it takes. Each one of the communities they submitted, that they sent kind of example summary results for, they were different. You know, it wasn't a standard template and just filling in blanks. So I asked specifically about the implementation strategy, and if you look kind of as an example, they didn't really like having us say this to them, but I said that it may have actually, no, it may be towards the front. In some of the examples of the communities that they worked with, no. Anyway, somewhere in there, And it may even have been on their website. I went to the final report.
There's a lot of Midwest communities. if I remember
There were.
right.
This company, by the way, is out of Phoenix and Denver, are their main offices. But they have worked with, you know, yeah, Springfield, Jefferson City, some Texas communities, and San Marcos was one, yeah, in Jefferson City, Missouri. Parker, Colorado is very similar in size, and kind of it's far enough out of Denver, it's more of a rural feel in Parker than it is an urban feel. So, and Littleton, Colorado, yeah, is in the Denver suburbs, but they kind of have their own identity too, and they're older and more established. So anyway, it's a long answer to your question. We haven't gotten there yet, but when the draft comes, they've set aside, if I remember right, on their implementation schedule, there's a month or 6 weeks, I think, of just review. So there's quite a bit of time to drill down and look at how it is. And I asked them for, on the implementation plan, because that becomes your working document, but I didn't like how they were presented in spreadsheets. You know, I said, can you do anything to decorate these up a little bit or make them a little more graphically pleasing? And they said, well, we've kind of felt the information is more important than the icing. But I said, yeah, but we have people who have to look at these and share with the public, and it might. So anyway, they said, we are open to ideas. So they sounded very willing to work with the individual communities as needed. So, other questions about this process?
You did say that as far as pricing goes and who's responsible, that hasn't yet been decided.
What do you mean?
Or, you know, will it be the city? Will it be the?
Oh, you know, yeah, I should have been more clear. The city of Salina, in their general fund, has a pool of money each year available to departments or for the city manager's office for strategic planning. And because it's an irregular thing, but by the time all of 13 departments go through this, they just put a placeholder in, and we'll be using about 60% of that this year, and there weren't any other departments forecast to use those funds, and they went unused last year. So, so the bulk of that will be paid that way. My reference was because Salina Arts and Humanities isn't in the general fund of the city. I'm gonna geek out on you here. They're not in the general fund. We have a separate agency fund. So every March or April, they move money from the general fund and put it in an arts and humanities fund, and we operate to that amount. So if we told the city commission this cultural plan is going to cost us this much, but then on the side, our department starts spending money on cupcakes and Cokes at community gatherings, pay for extra hotels for guests to come in to be interviewed or whatever, you know, or out of town culturals and reimbursing travel, we have to account for that because we aren't allowed to take money from different places when we have an advertised price that's total. So this needed to be all encompassing, and so whether it comes from the city's general fund or, you know, if we say, hey, we'd like to add these elements to it, as long as we stay under the total amount, then we're fine. Okay? Other questions?
Very well done, Brad.
Okay,
I mean,
thanks.
seriously. I think this is gonna be really exciting.
It's be very revealing.
Very exciting.
And
It's a
it'll be
great company.
affirming in some ways, You know, for the folks who have to spend more time with me than those of you I see once a month, I'll give one quick example. In the opening draft of the Big Ideas report, or draft, the final draft, the final copy for the City Commission, and the narrative about envisioning Salina in 2020, from a 2009 document to the energy that they described and the revitalization of the downtown and other things, if you read that now, you might go, oh, well, yeah, that stuff's been going on for a few years, you know, or yeah, I could see that, but we were in a very different place as a community back then. And one that kept me up at night my first few years here was Americans for the Arts asked all the nation a question: do you value the role the arts play in your community? Or something to that effect. The collective response, well, I'll back up. Salina's response to that, as reported in the opening paragraphs of the Big Ideas, was that 57% of Salinans answered favorably on that. You go, hey, that's pretty good, more than half, you go Salina. And with our reputation as an arts community and long history of leading many things, you'd think that was pretty good. National average was, that year, I believe, was 89%. You know, in art education, it was 92% to the affirmative. But our community's backlash to the launch of a public art program was so ugly and so much of a lightning rod that it skewed the public's response to their appreciation for that, to the point of being 30 or 40 points below the national average.
What year was this?
That was it. The survey was done, I believe, in 2007 for Americans for the Arts, and ours was done in or late 7 or 8. And then if we fast forward from then about 9 years, we intentionally improved our public education, and the Big Ideas goal 2 was about making Salina a beautiful place to live, work, and visit. That's the big goal. And under that, there were about 17 strategies of how to get that done. And some of that included public awareness and engagement and education and neighborhood development and so on. Well, 9 years after getting those goals implemented, we asked the same question again to 500 and some citizens, a large enough number to be statistically valid, and we'd gone up 30 points. You know, we were only about 3 points behind the national average that year.
Wow.
And so by taking these plans, by taking these goals, especially if they're well developed and they reflect the community and there's good engagement by the citizens of what they want, what they need, what they love, what they don't care for, it provides us really important information to digest. So.
Anything else?
We do need,
Well,
we need a
ask for
motion.
a motion.
Official vote?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hearing no more discussion, would somebody like to make a motion for this approval of approving Keene? Pat?
Yeah.
Yes?
So I move to approve.
Keene.
What?
The staff
Keene
recommendation of
as-
Keene for
the staff
cultural planning.
recommendation of Keene for the assessment and strategic plan.
Are you a second?
Second.
There's been a second. And any other discussion? Hearing none, everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Unanimous. Thank you, everyone. I think this is going to be a pretty cool road ahead of us.
It'll be a fun year.
Yeah, really neat, really neat. So, I think as a student liaison, this will be interesting for you, hopefully, a little bit. Sometimes you might be overwhelmed a little bit of what's going on, but, you know, it just shows how things do happen in some communities and how you reach out and make things happen in the arts. So hopefully it could be interesting for you. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. All right. All right. Want to go to the next one?
Yeah.
March Madness.
Yeah, Match Madness is March 12th in the Salina Fieldhouse. There'll be about 100 organizations, most likely, with tables set up. Arts and Humanities and the Smoky Hill Museum will both have a presence in that day of giving. Greater Salina Community Foundation puts, this last year, it was over $600,000 on the table as a match. So any gift that's made up to a certain amount is matched by the Community Foundation to help these cultural or the nonprofit organizations and the fund holders to increase their endowments. The endowments are going to be an important part of not only Arts and Humanities' future, but for many other nonprofits in our community, because the needs of the community far exceed the community's capacity. And ideally, someday in the future, the River Festival's endowment will be $10 million. And when it hits that, it will generate enough spin-off every year that you wouldn't have to solicit private funds and you wouldn't have to charge admission to put it on. That's a big deal. So our staff, this commission could open every year in goals and objectives for the year, being able to make decisions where, I don't want to say money is no object, but if the budgeted amount by the city was covering some of the direct expenses of that, it might mean that the department would have $200,000 to $300,000 a year of extra money to perhaps re-grant for arts development in our community, or to pay the bonds on a new building over a certain amount of time. So anyway, this is really a foundation, an Arts and Humanities Foundation responsibility to grow that. It isn't yours as our advisors, but it is as advocates. So anything you can do to encourage or remind people to participate, to come to the field house, to get online at the Community Foundation on that day would be important. We'll have some sign-up lists next month for anybody that wants to come and hang out at our table, you know, for an hour or two, or just to come and stop by and watch or make a donation. I'm anticipating that our foundation board, no, maybe they already agreed. I'm not sure they agreed to the match.
I don't know that we've done the match yet.
I think they did during the
budget.
the October budget meeting.
Yeah, you're right.
So we're the only charitable organization that matches the match. So if somebody gives us $10, and the Community Foundation will match up to 50% of that, so now that 10 is 15, the Arts and Humanities Foundation doubles that. They'll match all of that. So a $10 gift from a peer of yours is $30 in our endowment. And it's grown considerably over the years, and it helps kind of distinguish us or help people realize that I frankly, I don't care how much somebody gives. I just want to get my hooks in them. And I'll say that for all the world to hear, because once you give, you're a stakeholder. You're part of the solution, and I just want you once, and then we won't let you go. So anyway, help raise awareness, spread the word, watch for Match Madness information on social media and the GSCF site. We'll have a video that is coming out shortly that promotes that from Arts and Humanities. And the museum has a video also.
We'll do one, yeah.
Yeah. And so they start cycling those through on Facebook and some of the other platforms. So more to come next month.
Can I say a little something about Match Madness? This is not to reflect what you guys have done in the past. It's just this idea that I have that I really, really love the idea that we bring I think they're fifth graders, aren't they?
Yes.
To come in, and they get to survey all the things, and they have $10 or something.
$10 each.
Each that they get to, designate where that $10 goes. And what it seems to me like it's really worth having some intentionality about the handouts and promotional things you put on your table, even the candy, and that kind of stuff, to have a kid, at least have some kid options
Yeah.
there, that handouts or whatever that speak to kids, and because we're also kind of growing those philanthropic, we're planting those philanthropic seeds there, and anyway.
Yeah, the
I
first
hope
year,
we'll do that.
the first or second year that they did, and there's about 600 fifth graders that come through throughout the day. It starts at 8:30 or 9 in the morning, and then the last group leaves about 2 or 2:30, and the decibel level is quite high during that time. I've been a little bit torn, like Arts and Humanities lowers their candy and some of their pins below, because what we've noticed in that attention grabbing thing is the kids don't become philanthropic, they become consumers.
Mhm.
It's more like a trick or treat, and they're just gathering stuff but not really taking the time to hear. And so I think the teachers are now working with them of, hey, this isn't about, you have to decide before you come which 3 tables you're going to visit, and then you have to find them or something. So they're getting some slightly different instructions to avoid that smorgasbord trick or treat kind of mentality. But it is a great program and an individual or a group of donors. So that I think it's largely one family that underwrites the cost of those 600 kids to each choose a charity. So.
Yes?
I think it's great that they have now set up the online ability to donate, because clearly some people just can't get to the field
Right.
house. But as you're talking to your colleagues about this, I strongly encourage you to try to encourage them to actually go to the field house.
Yeah.
Because I can assure you, every year we've lived in Salina, I've thought, okay, we're gonna donate here and here. You get to the field house, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna add them to the list. And then you talk to somebody else. I'm actually thinking about, see if I can work the booth, I'd save some money this year.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, we won't let you leave.
Yeah,
Just,
well,
you can-
it is powerful to be there, though.
It is. And it's made, there are some organizations that are reticent to promote it too much, because unlike our office, many of these organizations begin January 1st trying to hit their budget. And so it may take them till May or June in charitable giving to just cover their salaries and their overhead. Then the rest of the year, they can do their programming, And we're blessed enough through the taxpayers and the city of Salina supporting this department that everything we're earning is going not to our operations but to the rest. So we don't do much other than Horizons grants, River Festival, and then this program are our only. We don't do a end of the year appeal just to send us money because of the other community needs.
Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and go down into the old business, which actually is somewhat new business also in reality. But on the review of the finalizing the 2026 commission goals, and then you'll see a paper that was set out for everybody that showed the annual report of 25 on accomplishments, and then some of the goals in there, which Mike, did you not get one? Hand that down now. Need more, or how many? Good? Okay. On what they did, what has happened, which might help you for what we're going to talk about today, then Brad will continue on that.
Yeah, Amanda took the accomplishments and the other items of interest. She pulled, I added a little bit, but not much. She pulled those from your minutes, you know, and so this is your chance as commissioners to say, hey, we also did this, or I'd really like to have this more clearly articulated or whatever. This is a good chance for you to discuss that with us so that I have some direction, and with Amanda's help, we can have a final draft to you next month. The goals, a couple of these that say continue, those are carryovers from previous years that I've just always kind of been on there. Advocates for programs offered, you know, between our two divisions, encourage volunteer support, those kinds of things. We always hope that our commissioners are active in that, and so I left those on as continue. I put actively engage in the community cultural planning effort, you know, hoping that you would have made the recommendation to go forward. And then a slightly different, but provide feedback or recommendations for improvements to programs and services. You don't have to wait for, in this year, if you see something that's broken, if you see an unmet need of our community, this group has been good about bringing those in, but these are for, and some of those, like community cultural planning or advocating and helping get word out on things, can be time consuming. And so if there are other areas or goals that you'd like to see, this would be the time to suggest those. And for the group to concur. This is kind of collectively what you all say, yeah, we think we ought to spend some time each month pursuing that. Okay? So,
Let's open up
to
the-
give everybody a few minutes to
Yeah.
read through these first, and then open it up for discussion, or however you want to do it, Mr. Chairman.
All right. All right, why don't we just go ahead and begin? So would somebody like to open up with some questions on a particular thing that might have been you've read, that you have questions on, whether on any of these, you know, with the goals that he's talking about, and also obviously the other items of interest that was discussed a little bit at the last meeting that the staff thought about.
At the last staff meeting, we talked about getting another possibly orchestra director or band director for the Salina schools. Cause I talked to my band director about it, and we have 2 band directors for the entire middle school, elementary school, and high school. And my band director can't even be at the high school during our ELO time, which is like an advisory for us we can use our time to like go to either other classrooms to get like work done, or a lot of us use it to go into practice, but he can't even be there anymore. So we have to go through other teachers, and it's a huge like workaround for all of us to get through. So I didn't know if that was something we actually wanted to pursue or not.
I don't want to say no, but I would say that I believe that with the weight of what we're likely to see with cultural planning, that's going to show as a need. My plan in the meantime is I'm going to be having part of that conversation with the superintendent just to prepare him that we've heard that this is a need or an issue, and find out what the district's interest is. We don't, it's a separate board and separate funding models for the district from us. So I think what I might offer is there is a lot of information. I mentioned Americans for the Arts earlier. If this group wanted to be more specific about finding some ways to intentionally advocate for arts and cultural education in the community, that's within your, I mean, there are multiple reports and things that show students who've had multiple semesters of music and or theater improve their comprehensive reading and math scores by percentages far above any school's improvement plan. You know, those kinds of things. And so maybe within what this body can do, advocating for the importance of arts education or music and arts education in the community would, if there's interest in that, could be added.
Add that as a goal.
As a goal.
To
Okay.
serve as, go ahead.
Ted, I think it'd be a valuable addition
Yeah.
to the goals. We really do. So you got some good wording for it.
It really kind of falls under the equitable access in a way also, because we're talking about age equity.
I think it's a
yes.
yes and. I think it's okay. You know, Sarah, I don't know if there's anything from your perspective as being the education coordinator with Arts and Humanities, or Susan, with what, you know, any trends you're seeing and, you know, how your public outreach and school engagements are going, but maybe sharing any insights you have for either the need or the importance of doing that.
We continue, with the Arts Infusion program, we continue to grow in requests. When I first started in 2022, we were getting requests from around 14 buildings. Now we're getting requests from maybe 20 or more buildings within the county. So more people are asking, especially in early childhood, but you know, it's the requests are increasing at all ages. So
I would second that, and there's also requests for busing to happen in order to participate in activities that do not take place on the school grounds.
one of the biggest elements that we continue to work with is scheduling, which speaks to, the number of staff that are available, number of spaces that are available. So we are seeing a consistent trend in, availability to be able to do those programs, and that there is a desire to do that if resources are available.
So what would be appropriate wording for
He's
a
working
goal?
on it. He's working on it. I'm not asking him a question
All right.
purposely. 'cause
Yeah, we
he's
have
right.
another educator here too. I don't.
Yeah.
I figured, oh, I'm gonna let him do it, he's gonna do
If
it.
you have anything, Dan?
I think we've got some interest and emotion, but we need to know what would be helpful.
Would anybody like to, as we're waiting on Brad on that, dive into the other items of interest in those items?
Just real quick, Brad was talking about Americans for the Arts. That website is americansforthearts.org, all spelled out. And that they've got a research tab that's got tons of information, and they've got lots of information and lots of different things that you can find. There's an
One
advocate
tool,
section.
yeah, there's an advocate section, and one tool in particular is the social impact wheel. That one's a really great tool as well.
Again, as Brad's writing here, anybody want to talk about the items of the, other items of interest on the back side?
Andrew, you weren't wordsmithing, were you? Were you?
Oh, no, I don't
No,
have anything.
okay.
You ready?
This is gonna sound a little lame from getting a teacher in a classroom, okay,
Yeah.
but it's a starting place for you all and for us to build some momentum. What I put was develop specific talking points on the importance and value of arts, culture, and heritage education in our community. Much like the accessibility, I think it does click the accessibility boxes, but I think it's
a little more
there.
specific.
If we just said we need more arts education, we're not gonna get there, but if there are some specific talking points that help equip you all to have some conversations and for us to maybe discuss throughout the year how those might take place, whether that's on buttons, posters, social media, specific events, or helping speak up, attending. I mean, it might mean that if you feel better equipped to take a minute at the open forum at a board meeting as a citizen to say, I'm a member of the Arts Commission and I understand, there's only 2 instructors for all of, for half of the schools in Salina, and we deserve more. What can we do? And here's the reasons why you might want to consider it. If we can equip citizens to be stronger advocates and to have that information, it can help move a needle before a cultural plan is done, potentially. So,
Would it make sense to add within school district to that statement, or just?
we could say K through 12,
Yeah.
or pre-K through 12, right? Because it's
Just to be
early
a little
childhood.
More specific, yeah.
Pre-K has exploded, so.
What do you mean by that, Sarah?
We have opened up several session options for early childhood pre-K options. So like a Heartland Early Child, if we have several private pre-Ks in the area, if they have a curriculum, they're able to apply to have some of those sessions come visit the kids. So I continue to get more and more requests for specifically
So we're getting good
pre-K level.
usage there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
great, yeah. Yeah. I can also envision, you know, just like we've done with the equitable access thing, we've had community people come in, representatives of different institutions come in and talk to us, so we have a little better idea. And I can imagine having a conversation, having that same kind of invitation extended to the school district.
It would be interesting to hear, and I love sports, but why we can have 6 football coaches on the staff and only 2 band
That's a
directors.
good question to ask.
It would be good to hear why. I'm not knocking on football coaches or football, but, you know, it is interesting.
Yeah.
Right. That's advocacy when you ask a question like that. So, you know, if, whatever motion we need for here, I think these are things we can actually do as we try to implement that in the year ahead.
Well, the reason for some of the language or the value of, the importance and value of pre-K arts, culture, and heritage education is that we've used that language collectively as a department. The previous cultural plan, you know, talked about arts, culture, heritage, because it isn't just small A art. You know, it's performing arts, musical arts, literary arts. It's our heritage. It's the things that are associated with some of the difficult subjects that go beyond history, but that the museum works with. Some of those involve our heritage, and others involve our culture, and not culture with a pinky out, but the things that make us unique in this place. So
do we need a motion to add that, or is that just added?
if there's a general consensus that that's okay, what I might do, I'm trying to think how I think we can send information out to the commissioners. I was going to ask if it would be helpful to you if we followed up in the meeting with this latest language, as long as you don't hit reply all or continue the conversation. We can't violate an open meeting, but we can send out information, I believe. And so if you'd like, from any notes that we take today, we'll send a follow-up of this so that you have some time to live with it. And if there are recommendations that you have for slightly different wording before it comes back to you in February, just individually email us directly to me or to Amanda.
Or to both of us.
Yeah.
Both of us would be best.
Probably.
So-
Double blind check.
So we'd be approving our goals in February?
In February.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, this is your brainstorming session to kind of
There
give
might be
us
other
direction.
topics here as we talk.
Yeah.
To add to this.
Correct.
You know, what we think about the other items of interest, things like that.
Right.
To be able to where they could bring this back to us in a very formidable way.
Before we move off on this, this idea really intrigues me, and it's something we've been talking about or noticing for a while. Would this group be open to, even for our February meeting, and that kind of community invitation or engagement? We don't have anybody invited right now. Anna was running point on that, and so while she's gone, I haven't picked up on that. We had a lot to go over today anyway, but what if I found someone that might be willing to speak to the challenges of music education, if they are willing, and bring them in, and so that you have a little bit of an idea of kind of the pulse and the challenge that's there? Would that
Right.
be okay for next month?
Yeah, I'd like that.
Okay, I'll work on that.
Thank you.
Yep. And
Katie,
thanks for the
bringing
idea.
it up.
Yeah.
Seriously, fantastic.
Yep.
All right. Other things that people be thinking of, to give them some guidance here. Or go beyond what you're reading and give other ideas and thoughts. I read everything, I just think personally it's heading the right direction for what I think that we've covered in the past, talked about in the past, and it, you know, could be something that our commission could handle. I think getting speakers here is a good idea. You know, that could be even a goal, to get speakers here for different entities that has to do with the arts in here as a goal. I don't see why that can't be a goal. And try, you know, I mean, I'm not saying we'd have it at every meeting, but maybe half the meetings possibly. Initially, we said that might make our meetings last a little bit longer, to have a speaker, to be a short time for the speech and a few questions, but have that as a goal, you know.
I wonder if that doesn't fall
For
into
us.
the continued discussion around equitable access to the arts. That was kind of part of our subcommittee, was kind of about bringing people in and stuff, so it's not spelled out completely.
But it doesn't
in
have to
that.
be exactly just
Yep.
equitable access is what I'm saying. You know, it could be, you know, something to do with arts or whatever, you know, to educate us as a commission.
Just to throw another idea out for you to think about, and it puts some of the folks in the room on the spot, but something I think Crystal started, and maybe Joan before her, but they've invited members of the Community Art Design Advisory Committee to bring a topic of interest or a presentation as just a brief few minutes about the arts, about their passion in the arts, about something they're curious about or something they have an interest in, and bring that to this group to just help provide some enrichment and a different perspective.
Right.
We can, you know, try where possible to shorten some of the content of our other discussion, or limit some of our other discussion to make room for more of that. But besides bringing outside folks in, maybe inviting folks inside to be able to bring an idea or perspective.
And most recently with the CAD committee, I know Douglas did a presentation. He actually did a presentation to that committee yesterday. And a lot of that with Crystal has been focused on public art in different areas, different cities, different, different places and stuff. And so that's been really kind of cool to hear and to see and things, so.
All right.
So that's
Good.
that's an
Yes.
additional option. And the cultural sector, I think we can touch, at least through the cultural sector, I can tell you that every one of the organizations is dealing with how to attract and pull the broadest cross-section of the community they can. So we're going to hear that if they come in. So.
All right. Other comments from some of the commission?
Is anything missing, that you've seen?
I think if, at this meeting next year, we can say we did a good job on all this,
Yeah.
I think we can be pretty proud.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, Doug, because I want to warn you that the first bullet is big, because by the time we add up the energy that's necessary for the street fair, the festival this year, both of our organizations celebrating anniversary years, with the museum in their 40th and the Arts and Humanities in their 60th, and the festival's 50th. There's going to be there'll be Feely will be premiering their feature-length film in July. We don't have a date yet, but about the festival. We need help with that. We'll need help in greeting and seating and promoting and connecting the members. We won't be able to have just an open season, anybody come. It will be our festival funders and stakeholders and those who were in the film that will be invited for the preview before they decide what to do with it next. But That's a whole extra thing that we haven't done before, but that we're gonna be actively engaged with. So there will be a lot of stuff. There's some opportunities still this year for the button making pop-ups that we're doing that we could still use some help with on a couple of dates, I think.
Yep.
So
I'll send that link out, by the way,
Okay.
after this meeting, because there are still a couple things, a couple places.
and if we do make some progress on, you know, like with music or arts education, or you feel better equipped, that's going to open some doors or opportunities for other ways to serve and advocate that haven't been invented yet. So I agree completely. I think this is, the cultural plan will be an engaging thing with multiple touches throughout the year also. And possibly some extra meetings for everyone to, you know, I know that if possible during their visit, I'm going to try to schedule them to be here during your March meeting. But I don't know about their availability and flights and other stuff, but if possible, like to convene this group. And we also have a outstanding, it's not on here, but I don't think it warrants a goal because you've already provided the direction, but to do explore a joint meeting with Parks and Rec. So.
We've talked about that.
I don't know if the goals is a place for this, but something I've heard from a lot of people, and it's probably mostly because I do a lot of shows and events, but people miss the older version of Friday Night Live, the concerts. I don't know if it's because I don't think SDI advertises as well. I don't know where the disconnect is. I know they're still doing events, but a lot of people tell me, why are there no public concerts anymore? And well, there is, but I don't know. I would like to see more of that, whether it becomes like Manhattan just does June and July. I don't know. Originally, Friday night ran longer than that, if I recall. It felt like it was 4 or 5 months, pretty much on a form out. But I would like to get back to some of that, whether it's Arts and Humanities, SDI. I know it's shifted a little bit, but it just feels like Campbell Plaza always had a concert every Friday night, and then lately it doesn't feel that. And I know with that space now being Jose Peppers, and I don't know if that's a goal of anybody else, but I would like to see more of that. That is something people have said, they don't do concerts anymore, and I try to help and say, yeah, they do, SDI still does, but it does feel like they're doing 1 or 2 at most a month, and I might be completely wrong, but I do live downtown, I drive by that place, and it just feels like there's a lot less of that.
I think there was 4 months, 3-4 months, where Campbell Plaza was torn up with the renovation of Jose Peppers that hampered it this year. I know with the changeover in ownership, Blake was doing a lot of concerts in there, and that kind of hampered it too.
Yeah,
So.
well,
Yeah,
SDI does a lot of their concerts at the City Light stage.
Yes.
Yeah. And I would personally like to see that used since we built it, and I think it's a very nice space.
Well, the plan for City Light Stage, that parking lot this spring is to get it covered. There'll be down the center parking stalls that will be completely covered by a metal roof. There'll be a new entryway, and then some of the side bays where the parking is will also be covered, and then they'll have stretch fabric that goes from the new cover to the stage to help shade musicians. So the temperature on that parking lot should come down 20 degrees or more in the summer, making it so your lawn chairs don't sink into the asphalt.
They publicly put out the artist's conception of the layout. It's
Yeah.
pretty, it's a neat.
One of the
it's
conversations
pretty neat.
people have said to me is, why are we putting up a shade structure? And I said, well, so that when you go to the concerts that are there, and they go, well, there's not really very many. And I'm like, but we're building that. We're trying,
Yeah.
we've got to get both aspects.
Well, even the farmer's market.
Yeah, and
I mean, it's not just concerts. It's gonna be,
Yeah.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
served by
Yeah.
several
But
people.
Yeah,
lots
just
of-
justifying that to people, they just see the big expense and don't understand, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
that's so that you guys go enjoy those things. And
It's an interesting, and that might be a good follow-up conversation later this year, and challenge you all to kind of provide some feedback or ideas of how that can be improved. We've tried a lot of different things over the years. When Friday Night Live first started, we took money from Parks and Rec and from Arts and Humanities, and very intentionally, every single Friday from May 1st to mid-October, every Friday night, there was a guarantee of something live downtown.
Yeah.
And that built, because it used to be just once a month on First Friday and occasionally, but only on the nice months. And so but then we redirected some of that money as we saw restaurants, bars, SDI improve in some of their programming. We said, let's not compete with those other businesses. Let's put the money on the table and have it available. So if, I'll use a previous example, the Flower Nook, when they were open, they wanted live entertainment on a given night. Well, we had a pool of money that rather than us paying for everything and producing programming, we gave them the money to hire artists and bring them into their business. And it was good for the business, it was good for the public, it might put somebody out on the street playing music that others could benefit from. And it was open and accessible to the public. And so that's changed over the years. We've tried some different models. SDI has they have programming dollars now to help encourage traffic downtown. And they've they have everything booked for at least every first Friday and some of their other events from now through October. Every week that they wanted to do something is on the Parks and Rec calendar and is scheduled for 2026. And Campbell Plaza has gone through a recent change. When Jose Peppers opened up, the previous owner of the restaurant had a license agreement and kind of not really a first use, but a primary use of the plaza for both dining and for performances. They worked with us, and SDI and our office had the earliest possible booking we could do, but after 180 days out, they could also book it whenever they wanted, and they booked a lot. Well, when Jose Peppers came in, when they did their bump out, they just said, we're stopping there. We're only concerned with what's inside. We want to turn the license agreement back. We're not interested in a license agreement for the plaza, so there's no outside dining and there's no expected use by Jose Peppers. It's a public plaza managed through SDI, Parks and Rec, and our office. And so it's open.
It's very easy to rent.
It is.
So even with that fencing in there, people could be on either side.
On either side,
of
use
that
the
fencing.
tables that are there, they can
Right.
use all of that open space. They just can't block the entrance to Jose Peppers.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. I figured that the fenced-in area was the border.
Right.
and that
Yeah,
was it.
no, the line that goes from the
Yeah.
back or from the front up to the front door is a protected area for their customers to have access. So you can't put your lawn chair
Right.
between the building and the rail, but all the rest of that is open.
All right.
And so some of that is raising awareness and just making sure people know, but you almost, I've found, no matter how many announcements or press releases or designating an arts, commerce, and entertainment district, the ACE district for downtown, we have to go knock on somebody's door and tell them in person because it's hard to find that information and know what's happening and how easy it is to book. But we do have funds through Arts and Humanities. If you talk to bands or groups, we do, for public programming, we do have funds available to help support that.
Does Parks and Rec still have a chunk of funds that
No, they,
went away?
that went away.
Okay.
Yep, they got out of the arts programming business, and
And I know Manhattan's. Summer
We don't do
concert is
horseshoe
funded-
tournaments.
I know Manhattan Summer Series is funded by Parks and Rec entirely.
Yes, well, because they don't have an arts and culture department.
That's fair.
And their arts and culture division is under Parks and Rec.
Okay.
So it's all under the Parks and Rec umbrella.
I'm familiar with that program because I ran for a couple of
Yeah,
years, so
yeah.
that's kind of my, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other comments from staff or commissioners? Hearing none, Brad, does this give you enough information to take this forward then?
I'm
What our
dangerous,
open discussion
dangerous
will be?
now, yeah. And we'll watch your inbox. I'll get with Amanda on the language, and I may play with a version or two of this to try to be a little more intentional.
And then
I might ask this group, though, or you and this
Yeah.
group, I said develop specific talking points, you know, SMART goals, talk about something measurable. If you were gonna give a little elevator speech or feel like you wanted to be, you know, kind of easily equipped to be able to address some of the key issues in music or other arts education, how many talking points do we want to be that specific? Or, you know, if we said 5 to 10, that's quite a bit.
You can lose most people after about 3.
Yeah. 3 to 7?
But if you have
Yeah.
5 to 10, then we can pick the ones that resonate
You can
with
choose
us
which ones you want to use,
put
right?
forward. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
That's good.
Okay,
All right. Anything else, Brad?
I'm done.
It's done. All right. That's good discussion. Again, if anybody here comes up with something else, send both Man and Brad, you know, any other additional comments on what we've talked about, you know, or if you thought of something else that we didn't discuss here that you'd like to bring up, so feel free to do that. Next, another business. We go into the questions for clarifications or other items after all this discussion.
Just random, I'd really be interested in seeing, I mean, we've talked about the new fire station and the art project there. I'd be really interested in seeing what the art project's gonna be. And also, is there gonna be an open house that the public can go and view?
We have
at
been
some
on
point?
hold for almost a year, for multiple reasons, on being able to move the art forward.
Okay.
That will be coming to you next month,
Okay.
if we're on schedule. We've gotten clear guidelines on what our limits are in terms of how much space the art can occupy, and it means that one of the 2 selected artists has to redesign a couple things,
Okay.
changes scale and presentation. So the other one is intact and ready to go. So our tentative plan is to go before the city commission the last week of February, which means your February meeting will include a review of that
Cool.
final proposal. So
I'm just enjoying watching this thing
Yeah.
get built and,
it's pretty cool.
yeah.
All right. Anything else from anyone? Matt? Not, as you read here, the next meeting will be in February 18th, Wednesday at 4 o'clock. And you know a little bit about what we're going to be talking about now at that meeting, plus some obviously other additional items. Plus you'll see the list of when our meetings are this month. And once again, is there any other questions or comments from anybody? If not, I'd like someone to make a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Yeah. Right here, second? Second. So, everybody in favor, say aye.
I
Opposed?
take a cupcake.
Unanimous.
home,
Thank you
please.
for all your time, everybody. It was a very
Yeah.
informative meeting.